I'm sure you've all heard of the Nine Realms in Norse mythology, like Thor from Marvel, kind of like that. What I'm sure you haven't heard of is Odin's best kept secret, the long forgotten 10th realm. Long ago, Odin himself tried to unite the Nine Realms so they could live in peace, no fear from one another. In his conquest, he discovered an ancient 10th realm, a land similar to Midgard, or Earth, except animals are the only inhabitants. Anyone who opposed Odin in his mission to unite the realms was sent to the 10th realm, imprisoned. Eventually, a few years pass and Odin and his followers succeed in uniting the realms. Everyone was happy, life went on. All the evil, vile creatures in the 10th realm lived trapped together, battling over land and kingship. Alliances formed, kingdoms rose, kingdoms fell. After hundreds of thousands of years, hardly anyone remained. All the creatures of the 10th realm have gone mad. In their madness grew power, and after ignoring it for too long, Odin saw what had become of the secret. He was scared. In his old age, he had become weaker. He sent the Valkyries to search for a great warrior to send them to the 10th realm. This warrior would cleanse the 10th realm of these creatures, and in return, Odin would grant him great power and a place in his army. These rulers of the 10th realm are no one to be trifled with. The conquest begins. This is his story. Welcome to Valheim. I dropped in and immediately started swinging. The Greylings are annoying creatures and pretty much only exist to annoy you. After defending myself, I did basic day 1 stuff, gathered wood and berries, resources to set myself up. End of day 1, I built a little shack for my workbench. You can't use them unless they're in shelter. Workbenches are used for crafting most items in the main hand tools and armor. Day 2 was spent mostly hunting for food and discovering what I can craft. I went in blind these first few days, which means I didn't know anything up about the game. That changed soon though, because there's a lot to learn. Day 3, I discovered my first 2-star deer. I wasn't quite sure how the drop was when he threw a spear or how the deer AI worked, so it took me around 5 minutes to chase and kill that deer. Not proud of it, but at least I did it. Day 4, I got my first raid, mostly Necks and Boar. Necks are little lizard-looking animals that are exclusive to the melee biome. They drop their tails, which you can cook and eat. After the raid, I summoned the first boss, Tier. Important to note that I had a friend who joined in for certain parts of this. He doesn't play much, but he helps out with some of the more grindy stuff later. first boss is pretty easy, but it's meant to be that way. I took him down no problem. Every boss drops a trophy, which you perform a ritual with in the center of the map. Every boss trophy gives you an ability. The ability from Ike tier is less stamina usage. Day 5 was spent exploring, running around and clearing the fog on the map. I stumbled upon a mountain near my base, and trust me, that is not somewhere you want to be on day 5. The mountain is home to wolves, wyverns, and a few other creatures that I am not prepared for. On day 6, I entered my first burial chamber. Burial chambers are dungeons, like caves, that spawn skeletons and surtling cores. They are found in the Black Forest. Surtling cores are used to make portals, which will help us a lot as we go on. After trying to raid the burial chamber, I had my first death. 2-star skeletons are no joke, and it was my first chamber. I wasn't really sure what to expect. On day 7, I went and recovered my items. After I got my inventory back, I left the chamber and searched for copper. Apparently, if you start mining copper, the noise can attract grey dwarfs to you, and they usually arrive in groups. Black forests are home to grey dwarf nests, so they're everywhere. Later we'll see some nests. On day 8, my friend died, so I had to help him get his stuff back. On day 9, we both tried to raid a burial chamber and died again. Skeletons are weak to pierce damage, which is what spears do. I didn't know that at the time. Later that day, my ex-girlfriend attacked us, burrowed her way into my life once again. The troll completely ended me. 2 deaths in 1 day. Got my stuff back once again and found a ruined building so we can make a temporary base in the forest while we do our work here. Starting off day 10, we came across the same troll that killed me on day 9. He was still relatively low health from our last fight, so we finished him off. Trolls drop troll hide. With troll hide, you can make troll armor, which is the best armor you can get before killing boss 2. I believe you need 25 troll hide to craft the armor, and every 0-star troll drops 5 hide. So that's 10 trolls we have to kill to get 2 sets of the armor. But once you have a little experience fighting trolls, they're very easy to kill. Later that day, we cleared another burial chamber. Starting off day 11, we found and cleared a troll cave. I didn't know they existed until now, honestly. They each house 1 troll and a lot of loot. Later that day, we tried to destroy a grey dwarf nest, and a troll ended up helping us out. Day 12 and 13 were spent mining. Nothing too exciting. Day 14, we ran home with the ore we mined. We can use the ore to make a cart. You'll see later. Spent the rest of the day smelting. I was AFK for most of day 15. Something came up IRL. Normally I would log off so I don't waste the day, but since my buddy was on, I let him do his thing. Back at it on day 16, brought some copper home and upgraded my pickaxe. There are only 3 types of pickaxes in the game so far: antler, bronze, and iron. Now I have the bronze, so collecting ore should go a little smoother. That's if we don't get swarmed by grey dwarfs constantly. I had to say something about grey dwarfs. On day 17, I tried to mine, and of course my fan club showed up for some pictures. I killed them all. I hate pictures. Day 18, upgraded my armor to troll armor. Later that day, I also upgraded my weapon. I like the blunt weapon, so I switched from a wooden club to a bronze mace. With my new gear, it shouldn't be long until I can take on the second boss, the Elder. Day 19, I started off hunting. I usually just hunt in the meadows surrounding my house. Plenty of animals roaming around. End of the day, finding a troll cave. Took him out no problem. If you're ever having trouble with the troll cave, you can attack him until almost out of stamina, then just walk outside. You wait until your stamina regens and you're good to go. Kind of a cheaty way to do it, but they don't really give you much room to work with in those small caves. Day 20, I just cooked my food off I got on day 19. The amount of stamina and health you have depends on how much food you eat and what food items, so you want to stay stocked up. Day 21, I upgraded to a fine wood bow. With a new bow, the arrows won't have as much drop when they're traveling, so they're way more accurate. Huge upgrade. End of the day, I built my first portal. You link portals together by naming them, so it's important you don't have any typos. Last thing you need is travel far away from home, set up the second portal, and realize the one at home isn't linked up. You typed the name in wrong. Luckily, that didn't happen to me. Day 22, I traveled to my house in the Black Forest and set up my second portal there. Now I have a portal system going from the forest to my house in the meadow. I needed some more ancient seeds to summon the Elder, so on day 23 I went searching for a grey dwarf nest. The easiest way to find ancient seeds. After climbing to the top of a ruined building, I saw a nest in the distance. Since they glow pink, they're easy to spot. After taking the nest down, I should have enough seeds to summon the second boss. Day 24 was spent heading to the summon area for the second boss. I had to cross some water and learned how to use my first raft. I knew nothing about sailing, so it took me a few minutes to figure it out. After I played around with it for a bit, it was pretty smooth. I don't have to sail very far anyway. Once I arrived near the summon area, I set up a portal so I could get back and forth from here quickly. This ends up being the portal I use the most. You'll see why here soon. I went up to the summon area and accidentally summoned him a little too early. I had a few things I wanted to take care of first, but oh well. It didn't take long before it killed me. There ended up being a Grey Dwarf nest right near the summon, so there was hordes of Grey Dwarfs assisting the boss. It made things a little trickier. A few deaths later, a troll showed up because of all the noise. So I now have the boss, which I knew nothing about beforehand, a Grey Dwarf nest, and a troll. Ended up being a pretty difficult fight because of that. After eventually taking care of all the extra enemies, the boss wasn't too much trouble. If you stay behind the pillars or trees, his attacks can't hit you. The pillars are indestructible, so I used those. After a few minutes, the boss was dead. The fight lasted for a good part of 25 and 26, but now I'm ready for the swamp. Ended day 26 by placing the trophy on the altar. The ability from the Elder Trophy lets you cut wood faster. Very useful if you get heavy into building. And the building system in Valheim is very fun to use. I could spend an entire 100 days building, honestly, but it doesn't make for very interesting content. Day 27 was back to the grind. Dug up my first buried treasure. Rock formations in the ground that have an outline of what looks like a ship always have treasure buried in them. Day 28, I just chopped wood. Nothing interesting. Day 29, I started on the foundation for our bigger house in the same area of the map. Still learning about building, so this is a good experience early game. Day 30, I had my first raid from my ex-girlfriends. I'm kind of worried now because they know where I live. I took care of them before it became a problem. Back to the house on days 31 through 36. I'd like to get this done so I can, live here. Nothing really to say about it, so enjoy a quick building montage. Day 37, I took a hunting break, was running low on food. The trolls came back day 38, they seem to raid more often than other enemies. I guess I'm going to have to keep whittling down the troll population in Valheim. 39 and 40 were spent decorating the interior of the house and building ventilated areas on each side for campfires. Need to get the comfort level up. You get a rested buff for being in your house or sleeping, and while the buff is active you use less stamina. Higher comfort level, longer the rested buff lasts. And you have to have a campfire near your bed. So since I had beds on each side of the house, I had to have campfires on each sides of the house. Mostly finished up the house during days 41 and 42, worked on the ventilation for the cooking area, loaded up with campfires and plenty of space and ventilation for the smoke. Did not put a roof above it until later. Looking back on it, I'm not sure why I didn't put a roof on it at that point, because in Valheim, if you don't have a roof above your buildings or parts of them, the wood gets weathered over time. The durability decays and makes the building less stable. If it gets too unstable, pieces can actually break and your house can fall apart. No one wants that after spending hours of building. On day 43, I dug a quick moat behind my house. If I get raided, the enemies can't get to the back of the house, so it gives me less area to cover while I kill them. Mined all through day 44. On 45, I crafted some gear up for my buddy. He hasn't been on in a while and I didn't want to spend the time getting resources for him to make new gear, so I made some stuff for him with my extra. Day 46, my buddy joined back in and we pulled a cart to a nearby forest so we can load it up with ore. The forest is where you find copper and tin. Days 47 and 48 we spent mining. I spent about half a day mining stone without realizing it. I noticed when I wasn't getting any copper. The boulders in the ground look pretty similar to the copper deposits, and there was a boulder and a deposit right next to each other. I wasted a good 10 minutes and I'm not really proud of it. Day 49 we started pulling the cart home after mining for a bit, and we noticed a dark hooded figure in a field on the way back. I went over to look at him and he disappeared. I later found out it's supposed to be Odin himself, checking up on his warriors. On day 50, we made it home with the cart and started smelting our ore. I didn't really do much on day 51 except smelt and make a small little garden. Day 52, I hunted. 53 through 56, I tried to make a watchtower type building without looking up any ideas. The concept was alright, but it did not turn out nearly as well as I wanted, so I tore the entire thing down. '57 through '59 were spent trying to make up for it and started working on another watchtower. This time I looked up and used someone else's building for reference. I didn't follow it exactly, but for the most part. I'm not too imaginative when it comes to stuff like this. I'll put the link to the video in the description. Day 60, I finally built the roof above my cooking area. Should have done it a long time ago, honestly. Day 61 and 62, I explored my first swamp. Not really much to see. Most of what makes the biome interesting is the enemies. There are joggers, skeletons, leeches, blobs that poison you, and wraiths. Anyway, I filled my inventory with iron and headed home. Made it home day 63 and dropped some iron up. Days 64 through 71, I went through the crypts in the swamp I was at a couple days ago collecting iron. You can only find iron in the sunken crypts. They're similar to the burial chambers, except they have a large piles of scrap you mine to get iron. You don't mine anything in the burial chambers, really. You just kind of collect stuff. I'm collecting as much iron as I can and putting it in chests to collect and take home later. I encountered my first wraith too. They don't really do much, but in my opinion, they're one of the coolest looking enemies in the game. I killed it anyway. Day 72 I hunted, and day 73 my base got raided by trolls again. Imagine that. Day 74, I made my first ship and sailed to the swamp where the summon is for the third boss, Bone Mass. I placed a portal down once I got to the swamp so I can quickly travel back and forth. I made a mistake on day 75 and accidentally removed the map marker for the Bone Mass summon, so I searched the swamp for another area where I can register the location. After a bit, I found one and I had to fight my way to it. Day 76, my buddy and I brought my raft from earlier to the first swamp where I collected all the iron. We were hoping we could fit a cart on the raft. And spoiler alert, you cannot. Day 77, we loaded the cart up with all the iron we collected. Well, I collected. Day 78 was spent trying to get the cart onto the raft. We did not succeed and the cart fell into the water. Thankfully, the cart floats and the water was shallow, so we jumped in and pulled it back out into the land. Day 79, I built another ship and managed to get the cart onto the ship. We sailed across a small body of water and started hauling the cart home. We need that iron to help get ready for the third boss. Made it home day 80 and smelted all day 80 and 81. Day 82 and 83 we collected iron from the second swamp. Ended up with 110 scrap from the first crypt alone. That's a nice haul. 84 through 88 were all spent finishing up the new watchtower. Needed iron to finish it and I wanted to get it done by day 100, so I went ahead and took care of it. I'm happy with how it turned out. It isn't much, but it's honest work. Day 89 was just mining. Day 90 through 92, we're all trying to get our iron home. Had to sail for a while, but after we loaded the cart up, it wasn't bad. Sailing is kind of relaxing. Crafted my new iron armor set on day 93. Huge defense upgrade from the troll armor, and it's only a 3-piece set, unlike the troll armor, which has a cape. Luckily, you can still use the cape from the troll armor at the same time. Started off day 95 getting raided by swamp monsters, draugrs and skeletons. Took care of them no problem. After the raid we headed to the summon for the third boss, Bone Mass. He's essentially a giant blob with arms. You're pretty much guaranteed to get poisoned by him, so always make sure to bring poison resistance meats. Meads are crafted at a cauldron and have to be fermented for a couple days before you can use them. After about 1 day and a couple deaths, we took him down. He dropped 2 wishbones. You can use wishbones to find silver ore deposits in the mountain biome. All silver ore deposits are underground. After the fight, I placed the Bone Mass trophy on the altar. The ability from the Bone Mass trophy is increased physical resistance. Since I obviously won't make it to the 4th boss before the 100 days is up, I decided to go back and fight the earlier bosses to see how easy they were with my new gear. So on day 97 I fought the Elder again. He didn't stand a chance. Day 98 I explored a small mountain near my house just to get an idea of what the future holds. Ended up dying to wolves. They're pretty strong. I didn't end up seeing anything cool like a golem or a wyvern, but at least I know what to expect from the mountain. I could explore the plains biome too, but I choose life. Day 99 I went back to Eikthyr and fought him twice. Had to have some fun with him. Eikthyr wasn't a hard boss even on day 4, so on day 99 I just kinda toyed with him. Oh, what's this? A warning. And what's this? A grave for anyone who wants to try me. Up next, the plains. There we have it. 100 days. Quite the journey. Lots of killing and lots of dying. It took around 40 hours to get through 100 days, and I was only able to kill 3 out of the 5 bosses currently in the game. So if you haven't picked up Valheim, I strongly encourage you to do so. It's only $20 and well worth it. And after 100 days, I'd want to say thank you to anyone who took the time to watch. This was a lot of fun to make and a nice learning experience. I don't want to start YouTube for the fame or the clout. I just want to make people happy. We're all friends here, you know? So if you stuck around and enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe for more. Hopefully I'll see some of you for 200 days. Thank you.